Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to NoDQ&A video right here on NoDQ.com as well as the YouTube channel and NoDQ&A videos affiliate ringsidenews.com. First off, I would like to say thank you to everyone out there that watched NoDQ&A video episode number 550, which in just a 24-hour period is already the most watched episode of NoDQ&A video ever, with over 66,000 views. Oh my God, what in the hell was that? Don't tell me that the anonymous Raw GM is back. Please don't tell me. Please tell me I'm dreaming. Especially after Survivor Series with Sting coming back. For the love of God, the anonymous GM is back. Very mixed reviews to this week's Raw. I don't even know what to say. I got the questions here, so let's try to get through them. First one from Chris Mace 39628. What did you think about Daniel Bryan being in charge of Raw, and is this a sign that his return to the ring is near? I was happy to see Daniel Bryan back in a WWE ring, even if he's not actually wrestling yet. I think it's good for Bryan to make occasional appearances in WWE, even though I think that if he was gone for a full 8 months, he would come back and the fans would still react to him. But it's nice to keep him around and just keep him fresh in people's memories. And Daniel Bryan hopefully will be back sooner than later, and he will be back in time for the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania and all that stuff. I would have been fine with Daniel Bryan as the permanent Raw GM until he was 100% ready to get back in the ring. But clearly WWE has other plans. And it looks like they're going to do this angle where every week somebody else is in charge and they're going to try to run the ship. And next week we're going to have the anonymous Raw GM, a.k.a. Hornswoggle, a.k.a. Santa Claus, for those of you that remember that infamous edition of NoDQ&A video from back in 2011. But regardless, I don't even know what to say about the anonymous GM, but I was happy to see Daniel Bryan back on Raw, even if it was just for one night, and hopefully we will see him again in the near future. Got this question here from Kayfabe Candy Ass. What did you think of Sting's entrance music? I understand everyone wanting the Crow theme, but those WCW themes aged worse than milk. I kind of dig this one. At least it's not some stock rock shit. I've definitely seen a lot of different opinions about Sting's entrance music. I've seen some positive comments, some negative. Right now, I think I'm somewhere in the middle. I like the fact that they gave him something different, and part of me expected WWE to give him new music because that's how WWE is. They like to have their own music that isn't from WCW. I mean, really, there were only a few guys that got to keep their WCW music, you know, Booker T, and there were a couple of other guys that got to keep the same entrance music, or similar to what they had, like Scott Steiner, but most of the time, guys came in and they got new music. You know, the Crow theme is very recognizable. I thought maybe WWE would remix the theme, but they didn't do that. They just gave him an entirely new theme song, and I guess I saw a few comments, and I'm not familiar with the Crow movie, but I know somebody said that it's similar to the movie with Brandon Lee. I don't know if that's the case or not. But, you know, maybe it'll grow on me. I mean, I don't think it was a terrible theme. It's just not what I was expecting. You know, I figured they would do like a remix of his old WCW theme, and they would keep that same melody that people remember from WCW, but they completely changed it. All right, this one comes from Wrestling Doom 95. Yo, Aaron, do you see Sting having only one more match in WWE, or only one match in WWE, because he hasn't even had a match yet, or becoming a part-timer for the time being? Well, I think his first match should be WrestleMania. I do not think he should have a match any sooner than that. I think that there is an intrigue when it comes to seeing Sting compete in a WWE ring. It's something special. It's something new. I would not do anything like that before WrestleMania where he gets in the ring and actually has a match. If things go really well at WrestleMania, who's to say? Maybe he could have a series of comeback matches, maybe do a short run in WWE. My gut feeling is that he's probably just going to do the one match. Based off Survivor Series, I mean, he really didn't do much. He came out there, he ducked the punch from Triple H, he punched him, and then he did the Scorpion Death Drop, and he really didn't do all that much physically. And who knows how much Sting can do at this stage of the game. I think that with enough training and preparation, he's got 4 months until WrestleMania, he'll be good enough to go and be carried to a decent match with somebody like Triple H. But beyond that, I'm not really sure if Sting can go on even a semi-regular basis. So, I mean, it's really hard to say. But my gut feeling is that he'll do WrestleMania, and that will be his final match in his illustrious career. All right, this one comes from Gravy Sticks. With how poor the booking and creative decisions are in WWE, do you feel a major reason why they still have the fan base they do is out of brand loyalty? You could take almost any other TV show, and if it was written this poorly, it would be canceled. Well, the thing about professional wrestling is it's never had to be really clever in terms of writing, because people aren't watching WWE to be intellectually challenged. They're not watching for these complex storylines. They watch wrestling because they want to see the over-the-top characters. They want to see the machismo. They want to see the simulated violence. That is what people like to watch when they tune on the TV. It's testosterone fueled for a lot of people. They just want to see the chair bashing and, all the aggression in the ring with guys beating the crap out of each other. That's what people enjoy out of wrestling. They're not watching it to see all these clever plot twists and, all the well thought out writing. That's not what professional wrestling has been about ever, really. I mean, it's always been very over the top and never a lot of logic. Me personally, I would like to see more logic in wrestling and in WWE, but that's not a priority for them, and it never really has been. So I don't see anything changing. I don't see WWE putting more of an effort to improve the writing, because what they've been doing has been working for them. Now, one could say if they had better writing, maybe they could gain popularity. Maybe they could be accepted more in the mainstream media. Maybe they'd be taken more seriously if the writing was better. But, if it's working for them right now and they're making money, I really don't see things changing anytime soon. And this week's Raw is the perfect example with the anonymous GM coming back. All right, this one comes from T-Fur Nora. Hey, Aaron, what are your thoughts on the Dean Ambrose versus Bray Wyatt feud so far? To me, it hasn't been as great as I imagined, but then again, it has only been a few weeks. Please answer in video. Well, I think it's been okay so far. I know a lot of people were high on this feud, thinking about the idea of these two guys going back and forth with the promos, but to me, once again, going back to the last question, not much logic here. Bray Wyatt cost Dean Ambrose the match at Hell in a Cell out of nowhere. And then they do this storyline, I guess, where Bray Wyatt is trying to play mind games with him and bring up his family and all that, and Dean Ambrose is having none of it, whatever. I mean, we've seen this kind of storyline play out a million times. So to me, the promos were fairly disappointing, felt way too forced and scripted. The match at Survivor Series I thought was good, not great. And essentially it was just a build-up for the TLC match. I mean, the TLC match, we'll see how that goes. That could be a really good match. We'll see where they go with that. I mean, you have two interesting characters, but once again, with the poor writing, perhaps these two characters are not reaching their full potentials because of the lack of creative writing in WWE. So, we'll see how the storyline progresses. I'm not really getting my hopes up in terms of the storyline build-up, but the match at TLC should be really good, hopefully. All right, this one comes from Jabroni Shavani. Hey, Aaron, there's been a recent surge online by fans and even by some wrestlers regarding inducting the British Bulldog into the Hall of Fame. I wondered if this happens will improve Dynamite Kid's chances of being inducted. Do you agree that he deserves it? Please answer in video. I think that if the British Bulldog goes into the Hall of Fame, he will go in by himself. I mean, Davey Boy Smith had a very lengthy career in WWE beyond the British Bulldogs tag team. He was very successful as a singles star. And WWE, I don't think they're going to do both. I don't think they're going to induct the Bulldog by himself and then induct the tag team into the Hall of Fame. So I think it's more likely that the Bulldog just goes in by himself. Dynamite Kid, very talented wrestler and one of the best on the WWE roster in the 80s. But let's face it, I mean, beyond the British Bulldog's run as a tag team, he got sick, he got hurt, he had his personal issues, and, his career didn't really reach its full potential. He didn't go as far as maybe he could have if he was able to stay healthy. So, I mean, that's just unfortunate. But when you look at the length of his career, I'm not really sure if he's Hall of Fame material, and especially when you compare him to the Bulldog and how long the Bulldog lasted. His run in WWE in the 90s with the IC title run and, being part of the Hart Foundation. He had a very good run in WWE during the 90s. So, he should definitely go in, the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith. All right, that'll wrap it up for this edition of No DQ&A video. Thanks as always for watching. Subscribe, youtube.com/NoDQ&AW, and stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest regarding TLC and the latest regarding TNA as well. See you guys next time.